Hey friends, it's Sarah from SJ Florals, and today I'm going to show you guys how to create this leafy wreath. For this tutorial I'll be using an Archer and Olive watercolor book with Archer and Olive watercolors, but of course you can use whatever you already have at home. First up, we'll draw a circle to use as a guide for our wreath. I use a helix circle maker here, but you can use a compass or really any circular object that you can trace around. The colours that I'm using from the Cool palette are Meadow, Brook and Twilight, but of course you can use similar colours or your own colours that you choose. Just keep it to 2 or 3 colours so that it doesn't get too muddy. Also, before I forget, for a full list of materials I use, check out down below, and I'll also include links and any discount codes I have. You can see I now start with my leaves. I pick a point and I just go for it. I'm not particularly good at doing leaves where I just let the paintbrush work for me. I have to go back and continuously shape the leaf. If you can just use your paintbrush to do one stroke leaves, that's fantastic. Do that. If you're like me, just go back in and you create that leaf. You can see in points I also mix some colours, add a bit of a dab of a colour to a leaf, and then I also go back and I fill in the branch in between the leaves, and I just keep doing this. I keep adding the leaves, adding some more of the branch. When I feel I haven't put a leaf in with a bit of the purpley colour, I add a bit of purple. If I haven't got one with blue, I just like to make it a bit of a mixture so it feels nice and random, but not too random. Again, as I mentioned in my last tutorial for the watercolor galaxy wreath, I like to make sure the leaves are all facing in the same direction but off on slightly different angles and slightly different sizes to make it look interesting and not too uniform. As we all know, in nature things are very rarely uniform and all perfectly in line, so I like it to be like that when I create wreaths. But of course, if you prefer something a bit more uniform, go for it. Whatever works for you. As I'm about to finish the wreath over here, I decide to go back in and add some little leaves because I find it really nice to fill in those gaps with a little extra something between the bigger leaves. It makes it a bit more interesting and fills it out, and it's a bit more realistic. As you know, there are always those little leaves about, and again, it just adds a little extra something. Once you feel like you've filled the wreath with enough leaves and there's enough there for your liking, it's time to let it dry before we add the fineliner. Now that the watercolor is dry, it's time to take a fineliner and go back in, outline the leaves. I've used a Derwent Graphik line maker in a 0.1. Again, use whatever fineliners you've got at home. So like I said, I go back and I outline the leaves. I go and do the whole wreath. Then I fill in the branch in between. And then I go back and I decide to add a center line to some of the leaves. This is just what I like to do. I've always liked to randomly add that extra little line of detail to some leaves and leave some of them without. That's just my particular thing I like to do. If you'd rather add the extra detail line to all the leaves or not add it, go ahead and do either, whatever you like. Here you can see I actually go around the circle a few times. This is just a personal preference. I really wanted the circle of the wreath to be visible, and like I said, here you go. You can see that I've added those center lines to some of the leaves. Now I'm going to take this opportunity to ask you guys what you'd like to see more of. I hope you've been enjoying the tutorials. Just let me know what you'd like to see more of. If you leave a comment, that'd be great, guys. And now I decide to add some ink, little tiny ink leaves in. Just basically scribbling teeny little leaves all the way around to fill in the gaps even more. And then you're done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, leave a thumbs up, a comment. Feel free to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.